Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Important Work. I'm your host, Chris Angel, and I'm here with my guest and today's co-host, Danny Levin. Hello, Danny.
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm so glad that I get to have this conversation with you. We've only known each other for a couple meetings through the internet, of all things, and I've just come to really respect you, and you are a deep human being with great questions, so super honored that you'd interview me today on my show.
Ditto. And it's my honor because it's very rare that I find in life people that are doing what you're doing, which is not just marketing, but social marketing.
Yeah.
And what excites me about that is when you find people with purpose. Like, how do you get into that? How did that happen for you?
I know. Well, I've always been a passionate person. It's so funny because those of you that listened to the previous episode with Anna, we talked about sort of the story of stepping into purpose. And I feel like I've always been somebody that has passion for people. So when I got into business and I started trying to play with the toys of marketing, let's run a Facebook ad and let's write a blog post. And a lot of it didn't feel good. And I think a lot of people who are socially aware, they want to make a difference for people and they value authenticity. Most traditional marketing doesn't feel good. So
tell me why. Tell me what that means. Because the reason why I want to know is it's so unique what you're doing, because most people follow a cookie cutter model.
Yeah.
And they don't worry about what feels good. They want the result. Yeah. And so, right? They want to know, if I follow exactly what this person's doing, this is what's going to happen. So how did you make that change of really saying, this doesn't feel good to me? What did that feel like? For people who don't know what that even feels like, what would that feel like?
Yeah, it's hard work. Everything feels hard. You feel very frustrated. I was super frustrated with technology. All I wanted to do was make a connection. And I'm like, and I saw this when I was a CEO of a company and I had 200 agents in my office, real estate agents in my office. I saw these brilliant, caring human beings super frustrated and feeling stupid because they couldn't figure out how to connect with people through marketing. Wow. How is it that these brilliant people can't make a connection? And I think the more I was in that season of life, I just kept seeing, that is when all of my thoughts on marketing really began to develop, as like, something's broken, something's wrong. Like at the end of the day, people buy people buy people. And so if you can just be a person and then use technology as a way to connect, that is where a sale will at least for me, that's where authentic sales happen. It's where it feels good to sell versus feeling like I'm trying to manipulate or coerce or force.
I love that because it seems like most people are teaching the cart driving the horse.
Yeah.
Like if you do these things, you'll do, if you follow what I do, you'll have success that I have. But the horse driving the cart, to me, is what you're saying. Yeah. Which is, if you just are authentically yourself, you will magnetize people that are drawn to you, and people will feel your authenticity and will want to work with you.
That's right.
So what you've done then is, if I'm correct, and I would love you to explain this, is you help people tune into themselves and then apply tools that will allow themselves to broadcast out clearer. Is that correct?
Exactly. It's so funny. Video was very popular, in my real estate career. YouTube had just come on the scene like in 2003 or 4. So I remember trying to do videos, and staring into a camera was just like 20 takes later. I was like, this sucks. And I hate staring into this camera. I don't know what to say. And that is a great example of how most marketing feels for people. They try it and they go, this doesn't feel good. This sucks. And when things suck and you don't like them, the energy that comes through your marketing, whether it's a blog post, a video, social post, people can smell that it's not you. They're like, that was weird.
So what do you do? Yeah. What do you do when people get like that? Like, what do you do when, like here, we're sitting in a video, people are scared, people are going to be, how do you get it? How do you get people to cross that hurdle?
Exactly. Well, I think this is why I love podcasting as a format, because a lot of interview podcasts were conversational, and I could listen to a back and forth exchange for 20, 30, even 50 minutes. I could listen and stay in the conversation because the exchange was interesting, right?
Yes.
And so why we built our service and our company the way we did with interviews like this is because when I can tap into your passion, and you don't have to think about marketing. This isn't marketing. This is you and me having a conversation. But I just know the right questions to ask to pull out of you the things you really want to say. All of a sudden, this energy, this enthusiasm, this passion comes through the camera. And that's what people connect with when they connect with you.
It feels like a brilliant strategy because also then instead of talking to a blank camera, you're actually talking to another human being.
Yeah.
And in talking to another human being, would you say it's easier for people to communicate one-on-one with somebody than to just like into this dark screen that we don't have any idea who we're talking to?
It's so great because when you see people do, I've seen some of our clients and they're straight to the camera video, direct to camera versus like the interviews we do. And the side benefit of the conversation, the interview, is that the facial expressions you get, the energy, there's stuff that happens in the interaction that you don't get direct to camera.
100%. And that really goes to what you're trying to do, it seems like to me, which is connection.
Yeah,
like
connection.
When you connect, the person interviewing you're connecting to the world that is asking those same questions.
Yeah. That's totally, yes, absolutely. That's it. I think I always say this, and I feel I may have said this on the show, and I say it all the time in life, but I'll say it again because it's worth saying. I think that as humans, we have technology, the internet has been relatively a small blip on the span of humanity, right? And I feel like for 20 some years, we've been in a honeymoon phase with technology. We're like, technology is great, and I can search for anything, and everything's at my fingertips, and look at all the books I can consume, and I can binge watch stuff. And I think we're getting to the end of this honeymoon phase with technology where we're starting to revert back to our roots as a tribal species where we're looking for connection, not information.
Beautiful.
For 20 years, the internet it's been about, ooh, look at this shiny toy and look at all the information I can have. And now we're actually using the internet to filter information, not consume information. And the litmus test for what we consume is dependent on our tribe. So if I like you, I let you in. I let you past my filters. If I don't like you, if I don't like your energy, I don't like your worldview, I filter you out with technology.
Yeah. And coming back to like what we were going to talk about, which is social marketing, right? Mm-hmm. Which is also how important it is then to have something bigger as a purpose. Can you talk about that a little bit of how that fits into really understanding your tribe and talking to your tribe and really relating to it rather than just everybody trying to sell everybody. Everybody's trying to do something, everybody has their product and buy this and you'll be better. Tell me how that differentiates for you.
Yeah, I think like social. So I was looking for a word to describe what we do, and corporate social responsibility wasn't exactly it, right? But it's in that vein where it's like, we want to work with people. We want to produce shows for entrepreneurs who want to make an impact, a contribution in the world. They don't want to just sell another product. They actually have a message or a difference to make. And so as I was trying to figure out, like, what do people call that? One of the words that is searchable on the internet is social marketing, not social media marketing, right? Which is like Facebook and YouTube, but social marketing, like social responsibility marketing. And so with everything that we just talked about as the backdrop for why we created this service, who we want to attract are people that have social change to make in the world. And so what's important as you bring marketing into that conversation is that historically marketing has been about, how do I sell a thing to make money? We want you to make money, and we are a for-profit business. But what we want is, how do we help you market in a way that isn't just about selling your thing, but it embodies the message that's so ingrained in your soul? That's the difference. Is like, there are entrepreneurs who are like, yeah, I have things I'm passionate about in life, or maybe I don't even know what those are, but I sell widgets. And so I just want marketing that produces a result, like you said. And we don't want to do that.
So how do you get people to the place where they will be vulnerable enough to share their cause with people? Because sometimes we just sell our products because it's the safe place to be. We follow what everybody else is doing because it's safe. How do you get to that place where we're open enough to say,
yeah,
this is who I am, this is my purpose, this is what I'm drawn to.
Yep.
And I'm going to believe and trust that people out there will hear that, will relate to the purpose, will join me in my purpose, will help grow that purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. It's really good.
How do you?
It's really good. That is probably one of the biggest, well, let me say this. First of all, there are people who come to us and they already have that. They're ready. Like they're ready. And they've already had those conversations with themselves about the fear, and they don't care. They're going to do it anyway. Or they've already been in the trenches of their difference and their contribution, and they need a bigger way to broadcast and capture because they're too busy, and they need a more efficient way to capture it so that they can keep moving forward and marketing their stuff. But for those, there's a lot of people, which I just have a really big heart for, who they've been through their season of life where they sort of reached success in their career, but they're ready for what's next. They're ready for their life's work. They're like, I can't sell another house, or I can't sell another widget. I can't sell another thing. What I want to do now is spend the rest of my life giving back and making an impact. Now, those people who are at that window, they're at the cusp of ready to do that. They still have a lot of internal dialogue about like, is it going to work? I don't know. Like who's going to actually buy stuff from me if I don't talk about the thing I'm trying to sell? We get that all the time. And so for those people, there's just more education that has to happen for them to get comfortable with the idea that, that this works. There's lots of precedent in history about people buying from people, even when the message the person was like. You see this in sports when it's interesting. Emmitt Smith is actually a commercial real estate agent who was from the Detroit Lions, right? Like awesome running back. How many
Dallas
people?
Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, is that what? Who was in Detroit? Barry Sanders. No. It was Dallas. It was Emmitt Smith. But how many people would have wanted to have Emmitt Smith as their real estate agent because he was in football? Football has nothing to do with real estate, but there's this thing about connection, like, oh, that guy is cool. I want him to be my agent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you listen to shows like this and think, I could totally do that? You have a longing to connect more genuinely with your community and have a platform where you can play a bigger game. But you never start because either the tech's overwhelming or you don't want more work on your plate, or maybe you're not exactly sure what you would say. Yet you know you have really important things to share. This is why we created a done-for-you content marketing service, helping you give life to the conversations in your head to grow your business and your impact. Learn more at mygroundswell.com.
Dave Ramsey does this. Dave Ramsey built an entire tribe around getting out of debt. But when people come, when it's time for people to buy a house or to find a financial planner, which isn't exactly getting out of debt, right? They go, Dave, who should we use? And Dave's got a national network of approved agents and financial planners and people that he can refer you to, and he has an income stream off that.
So it sounds like you're saying over and over again, which is beautiful. People don't buy things; they buy people. And when people feel close or a connection to somebody, they want to do business with people.
Yes.
Like, who wouldn't want to do business with their friends, right?
Right.
If they could.
Right.
And
That's
so
right.
By showcasing who we are, not just what we do, like there's the features of what we do, and then there's the values and benefits we do.
Yep.
What I find is all too often people talk about their features, but not necessarily the values. Have you ever worked with, or is one of your goals in doing the agency to work with B Corps? Do you know B Corps? Yeah.
I've actually looked at that. I was looking at their certification process. Though that's a perfect example of the kind of people that we really want to produce shows for. The reason our company is called Groundswell is because my Groundswell in founding this company was to find people who wanted to create change and broadcast their change to the world. So my Groundswell is helping you create your Groundswell. And what happens when we have 100, 300, 1,000 shows with corporations or companies who have a socially conscious perspective about the change we can be in the world, right? That's the vision.
And I would imagine over time, as the groundswell happens, those people will start to interact with each other because there'll be a commonality of purpose that there's more than just selling.
Right.
And so creating a community will emerge where people will be able to come on each other and listen to each other's shows. Is that in the dream? Like,
One of the things we have right now that we recently launched is a mastermind called Groundswell Mastery. And I mean, that's in essence what it is. It's the beginnings of getting our tribe together to start connecting. Some of that can be connecting around what work are you doing? Here's the work I'm doing. Are there collaborations or synergies there? Some of it's just like, how are you broadcasting your message? Here's what I'm doing. But what I know is every time we get brilliant minds together, stuff happens, right? So I'm very excited about that for sure. Yeah.
So let's go back to that piece where people feel uncomfortable with just the life that they're doing things the way they've always done it. And let's go back to the place where people know they want to grow in that arc that you're talking about, where they've done fairly successful in what they're doing or have reached their level of success and can't get further. And they're at this place now where they know that if they can get over this little bump, if they can change sort of the way that they're doing it from, I'm going to sell houses, because that's the example we're using, to I'm going to give people the experience of living in the life that they've always dreamed they could live. Because that will allow them to feel something they've never felt and maybe even contribute back to help others live that life. How did you notice that point? Where that's where people get to and hurdle them over?
There's a really interesting thing that starts to happen. There's this internal struggle that starts to happen where you'll start, that the way you've done it isn't what you want to do anymore. You're ready for what's next, whether that's a different way to do what you're already doing or a different thing completely than what you're already doing. You'll start.
Hold on. Can I interrupt you 1 second? Because I want to know that point. Like, I think this is so tangible that if people can understand these steps in this process, when you know what you've been doing isn't working, does that constitute a change moment, or do people still have to sit with that a while until they have the courage to say, well, it isn't really working. I know it's comfortable, but it's not comfortable enough that I want to stay here. Is there a time period that you see that takes?
I don't know. For me, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have enough observations for that. I can tell you from my own experience, I left my role as a CEO to which was great, and had been successful, but I was like, I was ready for my life's work. What I wanted to do was spend time inside my unique abilities. So I think that's one clue. You'll be like, what I'm doing right now does not feel like what I'm made for. And that will be a moment. You'll be like, you'll have an aha moment. Like, this is not what I was made for. And then you'll have a choice. And I chose, you'll either choose to move on or you'll choose to stay a prisoner of the environment that is not your wheelhouse, right?
So one of the reasons why I love this is because we're talking about how people connect to the people to you through what you're doing.
Right.
But if you're not even connected to what you're doing, how will people connect to you? So that
That's
moment
really
of choice that you speak of, right? Is such a pivotal moment of courage to connect to what you know is your purpose, even though you're scared to do it.
That's it. I would say what's more important than like how long does it last or any of that is like there are deepening layers of self-awareness. So the first, for me, it was, this is not my unique ability being a CEO. What I want to do is coach and teach. Those two things I want to do. And so I stepped into the next season of life with that. And for 5-6 years, I did one-on-one business coaching consulting until I got to a spot where I'm like, there was another prompting. There was another thing. And this is one of the biggest distinctions for this kind of work is when you're ready for your life's work, you no longer find answers in books. You don't find answers at conferences. The answers come from within. And this is the biggest hurdle for people getting over that to what's next is until you start to listen internally for your promptings, you're going to continue to look outside into books, conferences, and you're going to spin your wheels and you're going to go on all sorts of detours that are going to be really frustrating with no answers or clarity, and it doesn't feel good. And the only time it starts to feel good is when you start to surrender to the promptings.
So, like, I see that slightly different because the reason those conferences is it read for a certain time. But when it no longer resonates, like it seems like the goal changes. At first, the goal is just to make money. Like you say in that, the is making money, and you do that. You do whatever you have to do to make money and get successful. But at a certain point, then it almost doesn't resonate anymore. It doesn't feel successful. And so at that point, you make that shift, and that your niche, it seems like, is very much towards those people who are no longer happy doing what everybody else is doing and want to find their purpose and do what they know they have to do from within.
Right.
So how would people find you, Chris, if they wanted to pursue this conversation further?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the easiest way to go find out what we do is to check out our agency services. You can go to groundswellagency.com. When you go to groundswellagency.com, you'll see sort of what our service is, how it works. You'll see examples of shows we produce, and you can apply to. You've got to apply if you're interested, because we've got to have a conversation to see if are you the kind of business that is up to the kind of things that and up to producing the kind of show we want to produce in the world. But you just fill out a really short 4 or 5 question survey, and then we follow up with you. So that would be the best way to do that. And
so give one final actionable step other than just going to your website.
What I want for people to start to do is to listen to the voice inside yourself. And so if you're not used to that, because the voice is the source of all divine inspiration, right? It's like there's the saying that Sabbath was made for the man, not man for the Sabbath, right? So similarly, marketing was made for man, not man for marketing. And a lot of people are trying to twist and contort and bend to the rules and models of marketing, and they're forgetting who they really are. And when you consult the voice, when you listen for the voice, and you get some clear direction on where it is you're supposed to go, then you can actually use the tools of marketing to aid you in that, rather than trying to make it all about marketing.
I love this. And if it resonates with people listening, tell your website one more time so people can go there, because this is fabulous stuff.
Groundswellagency.com. If you go to groundswellagency.com, you guys can connect with us there.
Fabulous.
Danny, thanks for the interview. I so look forward to working with you more, and I love just what you bring to this conversation, and it's a real honor. So thank you. And everybody listening, thank you for spending time with us. Again, until next time, see ya. Do you have important work in the world? We can help you produce a show just like this one and get your message out in the world. Go to mygroundswell.com to connect with us now.